Hey guys, Pitmaster here. We are talking about peaking today. Okay, peaking for the fighters, it just means you want to peak. Okay, you want to reach the top the day of your fight. It's all a build up to the day of your fight, and it starts the first day of training camp, and you want to peak the minute you step into the cage. Okay, that's optimal. Okay, and there is wiggle room there. Obviously, sometimes you peak the day before, but you're still up high in this mountain, and sometimes you're not quite peaked, which is even better than peaking a little early. It's better to be not quite peaked, but still in really, really, really good shape. So it's a really complicated. It's a really complicated psychological, emotional, and physical combination of things, because fighting is very physical, mental, and emotional. So you need to peak all of these things together at the same time. So that's what peaking is, and the reason you want to peak is because if you're down here on this side of the mountain going up, that means you're not quite there yet. You're not in as good shape yet. Your cardio is not there yet. You're physically not there. Your timing, you haven't sparred and drilled enough, so you're not quite there yet. Okay. Now, say you peaked like 2 weeks before the fight. Now you're on the downside. You've overtrained, so that's even worse. I mean, not only is your cardio going to be severely affected by overtraining, but so is your timing, so is your agility, and worst of all, once you've overtrained, you just don't really want to fight anymore. You've lost the drive, the desire, the hunger. So that's why peaking right about the top, the day of your fight, is very important, and you don't want to undertrain too much because you won't have any gas. Your timing will be off. Your strength will be off, your agility, everything. And then you don't want to overtrain because it'll be off as well. And like I said, even worse, once you hit the peak and you overtrain, there's a big emotional, like an adrenaline dump. You just don't, but it's emotionally as well. You just don't feel like fighting. You don't have that oomph when you get up in the morning. And sometimes when you're training for a fight, you guys, you realize, like, say 2 weeks out, you just feel like someday you don't want to get up and you don't have that desire to go to the gym. Most of the time, I say take that day off, because that is an early sign you might be pushing a little too hard. Okay? You want to drive, push hard, be intense, but there also has to be a lot of rest while you're in camp or while you're training for a fight. And sometimes you've pushed a little more than you should have and not rested as much. And emotionally, one of the first signs you get is that emotional, just don't feel like fighting. It's kind of like almost a depression. You go to the gym, it's like you don't want to spar, your timing's off, you don't have the drive, you don't have the, you get in on somebody, you just don't have the power to finish the move, and you just don't have the desire either. So that's overtraining. That's usually a sign of overtraining. And to me, if that's one of my fighters, I'll give him that day off and maybe even the next day off. And then watch him very carefully. Then maybe give him, depending how far out it is, give him a day, an easy day coming back, and then, go from there. But that's a really early sign of overtraining. Okay? You want to peak the day of the fight, not 2 weeks before the fight. Okay? You don't want to leave the fight in the gym. Sometimes my guys want to spar, and then hit the bag for 20 minutes, and it's like, all right, bro, workout's over. He's like, I gotta finish. I got 10 more minutes. It's like, you're gonna leave the fight there in the gym, and then when you go to the Mandalay Bay and you step into that cage in Las Vegas, Nevada, the fight's back there on the mat in Arroyo Grande, California. It's there. You won't get it back. Okay. It's going to take some recuperation. Once you hit that peak and then you're overtrained, depending on how far you've overtrained, it takes some time to come back. because you need to regenerate, rejuvenate, and get it back. Okay, so those are some really good signs of overtraining. It's a big emotional thing. You wake up in the morning, you just don't want to go to the gym at all that day, and if you're not trained, you're in charge of your training, your coaches, then just tell them how you feel, and just say, yeah, hey bro, I think I'm a little bit emotionally spent, and I need a day off. Or don't even tell them you need a day off. Just say, I think I'm a little emotionally spent, and just tell him how you feel. And if he's a good trainer, he'll figure it out. If not, you should probably move on to a better trainer anyway. But if you give him those signs, I don't feel it today. I didn't sleep last night. Emotionally, I feel kind of down. If he doesn't know you well enough, or know the game well enough, or if he's not in tune with you well enough, you should go elsewhere. But that's a really early sign of overtraining, and you need to go with that because you need to get back on this side of the peak. Okay, because you want to peak here. Those signs usually mean you're up around the peak, and the only place you go now is down on this end. You don't want to go down on this end. You want to stay on this end until you step into that cage in the Mandalay Bay, Las Vegas, Nevada. Okay? So that's a couple of the signs. A couple of the signs of the undertraining or not training hard enough are your gas just isn't there. You don't have any gas in the gas tank. Okay? Your weight is way off. In other words, you're too fat or you're too overweight. Okay? Your timing is way off. It goes on both sides, undertraining and overtraining, but your timing is completely off. So those are some signs of undertraining. Okay, I already gave you some signs of overtraining. So you want to watch both of those, and you want to make sure that you hit that peak on the right day. Okay, so those are some of my tips for conditioning and training for a fight. Stay on this side of the mountain until you step into that cage in Las Vegas, Nevada at the Mandalay Bay, and then you want to be peaked. Okay? All right, thanks for coming.